Well, the Queensland opposition is promising to slash water prices paid by farmers by 20% in a major job-boosting plan to stimulate the economy. Meanwhile, the controversial voluntary assisted dying laws are shaping up to be a key issue in the lead-up to the state election. I spoke to LNP leader Deb Frecklington just a short time ago.
Look, what we've announced today is a massive irrigation announcement for 5,000 farmers across Queensland. And it's all about, cutting prices of irrigated water by 20%, which really will mean more jobs. Look, the LNP has a plan to drag Queensland out of this recession by announcing policies such as this, which means we can have more food, more fibre production and more Queensland-made, Glee. So it's a really great announcement.
Now, you're all about securing regional jobs. You're also about ensuring that the cost of water and the cost of electricity is reduced under your government. The Bradfield scheme's a beauty. It's a big one. It's being touted heavily. Again, just take us through how that would work for our viewers at home.
Yeah, well, look, first of all, if I can touch on the irrigation, look, this is a massive announcement. It is talking all about making sure that we make water more affordable for regional Queensland. And it's all our food producers. I'm here in a cotton paddock, basically. And, these people need cheaper water so they can grow more product. The new Bradfield scheme, of course, is a big, bold, ambitious plan that I'm really excited about. This is a project that will produce enough hydroelectricity for 800,000 homes. It'll irrigate an area a size bigger than Tasmania. But this is all about having big, bold, ambitious plans to drag Queensland out of this recession we're in. And please, so if I can remind your viewers, Queensland was in a pretty bad spot even before COVID. We had the highest unemployment rate in the nation, the lowest business confidence and the highest number of bankruptcies. Just because we've got COVID, things haven't got much better here in Queensland. And in fact, it is the agricultural economy that we should be supporting because they are really standing up and doing so much for Queensland right now.
Well, just on that, Deb Frecklington, we saw Cameron Dick, the Treasurer, last week start talking about measures that the government had in place to try and fix the fiscal problem. And of course, he kept throwing in the C word, COVID. Now, anyone who's been living in Queensland for any amount of time will tell you that this problem with the debt and the fiscal underperformance from the Palaszczuk government was happening long, long before COVID. How do you get that message across in the next 3 months?
Well, look, we've got a really big job to do, and that's exactly why the LNP's, out and about. We're on the ground. We're announcing our policies across Queensland, whether it's the fishing policy, whether it's, getting tough on crime, whether it's making sure we're looking after small business in Queensland, looking after the irrigators, looking after people all across Queensland. We're the only party that's actually got an economic plan to drag Queensland out of this recession. It is simply embarrassing that the Palaszczuk government are the only state government in Australia not to produce a full budget this year. Every other state government in Australia aren't blaming COVID. They're actually getting on with the job. And like I keep saying, but thank goodness for Scott Morrison and the federal government. But before COVID, we had terrible indicators, and that is why Queensland today, we've seen even worse indicators. Queensland is ranking nearly at the bottom of all of those indicators, whether it's unemployment, whether it's business confidence, number of bankruptcies. We need investment to create growth in this great state. We need to really supercharge our economy.
Now, of course, as the situation worsens in Victoria, and of course New South Wales becomes more exposed, the Premier today made it very clear that she would have no problems at all shutting the borders again. Do you support that move?
Well, look, what I'm calling for is we need to make sure we're listening to the health advice. The Premier can go out and try to get a headline any way she likes, but the most important thing is that we are listening to the health advice. So the borders and all of the regulations can't be just a set and forget. What we need is clear and concise messaging that is based on the health advice, that is taking into account the economic impact and not trying to play political games with this issue. It's a very serious issue. Queensland, as Gleeson, have done everything that has been asked of them. We've squashed the curve, and we need to make sure that we're in and helping Victoria, of course, and if there are people coming from a hotspot, they must be quarantined. But what we do need to do is make sure the decisions that are being made are based on the health advice, not just trying to get a headline.
All right, before we go, I really was keen to speak to you about the voluntary assisted dying laws, of course better known as the euthanasia laws. And of course we know that the Labor Party certainly has some views in that area. It's shaping up to be an election issue. I know that the churches, the Catholics, the Anglicans, even the Muslims are putting out advice in regard to this issue. Where does the LNP stand on it?
Well, look, Gleeson, we've been very clear in relation to this issue, and we're waiting for the report that has gone off to the Law Reform Commission, and I think that is the sensible thing to do. What I would say though is I would like to see more palliative care across Queensland, and I can tell you right now, if I'm the Premier of Queensland, I will certainly be making investments into those palliative care. We need more regional palliative care. We need more palliative care nurses. And, we need to make sure that everyone is respected at the end of life. But in relation to the proposed laws, we don't know what they are, and that's why it is very important that we see what comes back from the Law Reform Commission. And I think that that's a sensible way forward.
If you were Premier, would you allow your MPs a conscience vote on the issue?
Well, I've already said that, Gleeson, and I've said on numerous occasions that these issues that go to the beginning and end of life are always conscience votes, and that's what I've said, and I'll stick to that.